Good morning, grade 7s. In this video, we're going to look at how we can collage a South African heritage house. I've chosen to do an Ndebele house for our lesson today. For this lesson, you are going to need a piece of paper, a pair of scissors, glue, a pencil, and your ruler. You will also need some colored paper. If you don't have colored paper, you could use food coloring to paint white paper or even paint newspaper. Let's get started. Right, so we said we were doing a heritage house, and heritage simply means things that connect us to our past and remind us of where we come from. In South Africa, we have a vast variety of heritages, religions, cultures, and they can be reflected in our buildings. Today we're going to be looking at Ndebele houses. Now they are mainly built and painted by Ndebele women. Most Ndebele houses will have a white wall and then these beautiful bright geometric shapes, and they are usually outlined in black. Now geometric shapes have straight lines and angles. They're usually shapes that we can name and would find in our maths book. Triangles, rectangles, circles, etc. The Ndebele ladies would put specific shapes on their houses and use particular colours to tell people about themselves so that a visitor that was coming from far away would know about their family. They sometimes painted these houses with their fingers, and later they went on to making brushes with twigs, and then these days Ndebele artists will use paint brushes. Because they only had limited paints, the artists would use the three primary colours, yellow, red and blue, and then they would also use pink and green. So those are the main colours that you would find on an Ndebele house, so you can keep that in mind when you're choosing your coloured paper for today's collage. But what we're going to do now is start drawing our house. Now this house is drawn as a 2-point perspective. That just means that it will have 2 vanishing points. Now a vanishing point is just an imaginary spot on our page, so we're going to make our vanishing points halfway down our page on each end. And the house is going to vanish or disappear down to those 2 points. It's really simple, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So our first step is to divide our page in half. We need to do this vertically and horizontally. So I'm going to first fold it in half long ways. You can just pinch the edges because all you really need to know is where halfway is on the edge of the page. And then you won't have this big fold line down the middle of your page. So just pinch the top corner and the bottom corner. And that gives us the 4 points for our Ndebele house. Right, our house is not going to go right the way to the edge of our page. So from our center point at the top, just measure in about 2 centimeters and make a mark. That's going to be the top of our building. Then from the bottom of your page, measure in 2 centimeters, and that will be the bottom of our building. Now from each of these points, we're going to draw a line to our vanishing points on the edge of the page. It's going to create a kite. You need to press really lightly when you draw these lines because we don't want all of them to be visible at the end. You can see on our example here, we end the house before the end of the page. So we're not making our whole house look like a kite shape. We're going to cut off the edges of our kite. So draw really lightly. We want to make sure that the picture is in the center of our page. So I'm going to measure in 4 centimeters from each corner and draw a line going up. And that's going to be the 2 outside walls of our house. So from this center meeting point here, I'm going to measure in 4 centimeters. And I'm going to draw a vertical line to cut off the end of our kite. Try and make sure that this line is nice and straight. I've lined up my ruler with the top of the page to make sure I get a nice straight line. Then on the other side, I'm going to measure 4 centimeters. And again, make sure my ruler is nice and lined up and straight. And draw that line. Right, we are now going to draw the center wall of the house. So this is the corner in the middle of the house, and it's going to be the biggest part of the house. So we'll just draw a line straight down. Next we're going to do our window and our door. Now if you would like to be creative and make your own configuration, maybe you want to draw more windows or a bigger window or a bigger door, that's up to you. All you need to do is pick a height for your doors. So I'm going to measure from the bottom of my house 13 centimeters up. So from the bottom of my house, I've measured 13 centimeters, and this is going to be the line for the top of my windows and the top of my door. So very lightly, I'm going to draw a line to my vanishing point. Now when you use a vanishing point house, it means that all of our horizontal lines are going to go back to the vanishing point. So if it's on the right hand side of the page, all the horizontal lines are going to go to this point, and if it's on the left hand side of the page, all of them will go to this point here. So we've got this line now that tells us how high our windows and doors should be. And then you can just draw your lines for your doors. So I'm going to draw a door around about the middle of my page. We don't want to add too many windows and doors because we need to add in our Ndebele pattern. And if you have lots of windows and doors, then you don't leave a lot of space for your pattern. So I'm only going to do a door on this side. I'm going to rub out or erase this door line now because I don't need it anymore. Okay, on the left hand side of my house, I'm just going to make a small window. So I'm going to first draw the vertical line for the window. I've made mine 4 centimeters, but you can make yours whatever length you want. And now from the bottom of this line, I'm going to draw my horizontal line back to my vanishing point. Decide how wide you want your window to be. Once you're happy, you can stop and just draw your vertical line up. Right, so now we're going to erase this. Just to finish off the top of our house, because we're not drawing a large roof, we are going to just draw a line going down to the edge of the page. If you would like to do a roof, here's an example of one that's done with a thatch roof. So you could just cut off a section of the roof and draw the thatch onto it. That's up to you if you would like to do that. I'm going to be completing an example like this one. So I'm just going to measure about 1 centimeter down from the top of the building, make a mark, and then I'm going to join that mark to the vanishing point. So you can see as a line gets closer to the vanishing point, it gets smaller and smaller, and this is what makes the building look so three-dimensional, is because when things get further away from us, they get smaller. The last thing that we're going to do is mark off a space where we're going to put our Ndebele pattern. Now usually they do them along the bottom of their house as like a border between the ground and the house. So I'm going to measure up to about my window line, and that's going to be the spot that I am going to fit my pattern into. And because I want that to also look three-dimensional, I'm going to draw a line here. Now I know that my patterns need to fit into this space here to keep it looking three-dimensional. Okay, so we've marked off the section where we're going to do our pattern. Now that we've used all of our vanishing point lines, we can erase these 2 triangles that are on the ends because we don't need them anymore. Right, and we are ready to start collaging. Now the word collage is a French word. It actually means just to glue things down. So what we're going to be doing today is cutting out Ndebele shapes and gluing them onto our house. Now if you are unsure of how an Ndebele shape should look, you can see the templates on your worksheet and you can copy those for your picture. You can also create your own. Any geometric shapes will look fine on an Ndebele house. I'm just going to show you 1 or 2 and then leave you to finish off your house in the way that you would like to. Right. I'm going to start with a blue piece of paper. And now the tricky part with collage is figuring out how you need to cut your piece of paper before you put it on your page. So what I'm doing is just putting my piece of paper onto my drawing, and I'm going to draw a nice big triangle coming into my picture. So I'm going to mark off, here's the top of where I want my shape to fit, and here's the bottom. So now I've got a rough size. I can use my ruler, and you should use your ruler to draw these shapes because they're all geometric shapes, and the Ndebele houses have got nice clean straight lines on them, so it's best to use a ruler when you're drawing these shapes. So I'm drawn my triangle, I'm going to cut it. And I'll put it on my page and see if it looks okay. Right, that fits in all right. I might make my triangle a little bit narrower so that I can fit another shape in. So don't just cut out a shape and stick it on your page. Cut it out and then check. I think I'd like my triangle to end here. So now I'm going to use that mark to draw another line for my triangle and cut it off. And this is looking like quite a good Ndebele shape, so I can save that for later, and then I can stick this on my page. Once you're happy with your shape, you can glue it down. You can see from this picture here that the Ndebele shapes are often layered on top of each other too. So you wouldn't just do a triangle, you would do a triangle with a circle and then a square in another color. Or here there's steps. This is a very popular Ndebele pattern, and then it's got a triangle on top of it. So try to layer your collage. Don't just cut out a whole lot of triangles and fill the bottom of your page with triangles. Try to have a bit of variety. You can see this is 2 triangles with a rectangle through the middle of it. Right, so we've got our first shape stuck down. You could add another shape on top of that if you wanted to. What we're going to look at next is this tricky shape over here. This is another popular Ndebele shape, and it's 2 triangles joined with a rectangle. So again, I'm going to do it red. I'm going to go on my page and see how big I should make my shape. So I know it can't go higher than that, and it can't go lower than that. Okay, and we know that our perspective house is going to get smaller, so I'm just going to draw a line like this. I've just drawn 2 lines across my page to fit my shape into. Now you can see my bottom line, I've drawn at a little bit of an angle, and that's because my bottom line is at an angle. What I'm going to do is start with a triangle at the bottom. So I'm making my triangle meet my bottom line. And I'm going to draw one at the top again. I'm staying within the lines that I've just drawn so that I know it will fit on my page. Okay, so the 2 triangles are going to overlap with each other and together with this rectangle. Right, let's cut our shape out and see if it fits in our page. With collage, it's a lot of testing it and then cutting and adjusting. So don't feel discouraged if the first time you cut out a shape it doesn't fit on your page. You are going to have to adjust it a little bit. Right, so I'm going to put my shape on my page. Now I can see that it's going into my window here, so that's not going to work. I could slide it along a little bit more to the middle, but then it's going to overlap with my blue triangle. So I need to make it a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do, the quickest trick I know, is to cut a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom. And then I'm just going to cut a little bit off each edge as well. Right, let's try it again. Okay, that's fitting in nicely. So I could use that, and I could even move it further up my page if I wanted to. Then if you wanted, you could add a triangle in there. So as you go along, you'll see, oh, I could fit a triangle in there, I could fit a circle in that spot. You could probably also fit a nice shape in this spot over here, a rectangle or a circle. Right, let's put a shape on top of this one now. So I'm just going to measure it out again. I'm holding my paper over the shape that I've just stuck down. And I'm going to say, okay, I don't want it to be higher than that. And I don't want it to be lower than that. So I have the height of my shape. And just cut it out. Right, I think I'll do a rectangle for this. Now I've put this on my page, it's a little big. I think I might even have to cut it in half. So I'm just going to cut that in half. You can save this piece for something else. Maybe you even want to put it in this triangle that we've just made. And you can put the rectangle over the red shape. Okay, so you could stick this over here or save it for something that you might want to do later on. Right, now you found, oh, I've got this funny little spot here. Maybe you want to do a circle for it. You could definitely use the lid of your glue to get a nice perfect circle. I'm just going to try my luck doing a circle by myself. Some people say that you need to be insane to be able to draw a perfect circle. Right, so as I said, you could use your glue to help you cut the circle. Now I've put my circle on my page and it's overlapping with my other shapes. That doesn't look right, so I'm going to trim it. So you can see when you do collage, it's a lot of just trying it out, seeing if it fits, and if it doesn't fit, you have to just cut it down a little bit. Don't cut off too much at once, else you're going to end up with lots of tiny shapes. So just cut off a little bit and rather cut it 3 or 4 times than cutting off way too much and it's too small. Right, this circle is fitting in here nicely, so I can stick it down. Now you can get creative with your own shapes and design. Have fun finishing off this picture with the art supplies that you have. Before you go, don't forget to like my video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to get started. We have tons of fun art lessons up on our page.